Welcome back, you guys. Today's video is going to be a fun one because I dug through my collection and found a stack of similar palettes in my collection, and we're going to be going through them and talking about which brand did it best, which palette is better, this or that, and I'm excited to get into it. This is actually a part 2. I did a similar video to this last year. These are completely different palettes. Some are very new to my collection, but it's color stories I've seen before, and we don't need it all, so I'm here to tell you which one is the best. So let's go ahead and get into it. If this is your first time here, my name is Heather, and I love all things makeup, but especially colorful makeup and indie brands. And if you happen to love those things too, I really hope you will choose to stick around, subscribe. I would love to see you back. It's like the best time of the year right now when all of the holiday launches are coming. We're right in the thick of spooky season launches, and I am over here living my best freaking life, and I'm excited. So stay tuned. If you're not subscribed yet, subscribe. Like I said, I would love to see you back. But I will have part 1 of this video listed down below. Honestly, I could do several parts of this because I feel like there's only so many color stories you can do. Every now and then I still get a palette that's very unique to my collection, something that really hasn't been done, or at least something that I don't already own. I mean, I don't have every palette in the world, God knows, but I probably have close to 300, if not a little over that by now. So I do have quite a few. So there are a lot of palettes in my collection that are very similar, but I'm excited to dive through here and show you guys which ones I think are similar, which ones have my favorite formula, and maybe explain to you why I prefer them over the other one. Some cases it's a really hard to choose between because I really feel like you can't go wrong either way, but I'll still share my thoughts with them on you. I don't know what I just said there, but I'll still share my thoughts on them with you. Yeah, dyslexia is fun sometimes, but I'm excited to get into the video. And also, you know, times are tough. I don't know about you guys, but I am feeling inflation in my wallet, you know, and sometimes we need to know, like, if you already have this, do you really need that? And I pay attention to the comments when you guys ask me to compare, or you tell me you think this is similar to that, and I love hearing those comments and stuff. I try to keep them in my mind so that I can talk about it later for future videos. So I really appreciate stuff like that. But let's go ahead and just dive in. I have like 13 different comparisons here, and we'll start with what is on top. So the first one I wanted to mention is the Snow Angel from Simply Posh. A beautiful palette. They did just come out with a new palette. I do not have that one. I decided against it because, like I said, times are tough, and I'm trying to save for the really spooky launches from some of my more favorite brands that I don't get PR from. There's a lot of stuff coming out right now, so I did pass on that one, but I will say that palette is really beautiful, and I have a feeling I might end up regretting my decision, but it is what it is. However, I will say this palette is beautiful. They have a really beautiful formula. Their shimmers are freaking gorgeous. They're all like duochromes, and they're stunning. I enjoy their matte formula as well, but the palette that it reminds me of is the Nomad Shaman Ariski, and I think I got this one in PR. I can't be sure, but they are very similar. The difference is I feel like the blue row is much more blue, but they both give very similar vibes. So for me, what I would choose if I had to pick between these two would be the one from Nomad, simply because Nomad has those deeper mattes and even the option of the 3 deeper shimmers, and you even have like the 2 lighter shimmers as well. And I like that. You guys know I like a look that has like a lot of smoke, a lot of depth and vampiness to it. It makes me really, really excited, and I love them. Plus the shimmers are gorgeous. I mean, don't get me wrong. These shimmers are gorgeous as well. And while these are not like dead on exact, they are very, very similar vibes. And I feel like if you have one, do you necessarily need the other? Probably not, but if I had to choose between the two, I would definitely go with the Nomad all day, every day. I do enjoy both formulas as well, but if I had to choose a formula, I would prefer the one from Nomad. Okay, so this next one, 2 of my top favorite brands. Actually, it's kind of crazy because the next one is the same 2 brands, but anyways, Urban Neutrals from Artitude Cosmetics. If you're familiar with me and my channel, you know I love this palette so much. I love this brand so much. They are one of my absolute favorite brands in the indie space, and this palette is just so beautiful, so incredible. I feel so inspired by its color story. I really enjoy their matte and shimmer formula. I feel like this palette, while it is kind of neutral, it offers a slight twist, especially with this bright pop of color here. It makes it much more fun, and I love like the vibrancy shift in this shimmer shade is really exciting for me as well. But it also reminds me of Cool Trolls from Cosmic Beauty, which I also love. And like I said, these aren't exactly the same. Like some of these will be like more similar, but they offer the same vibe. And honestly, I love them both so much that it almost makes it really hard to choose. And honestly, it kind of also reminds me of the Nomad somewhat as well. If you take out those greens but throw in some neutrals, it's kind of giving that as well. But if I had to choose, I still think I would go with Artitudes. And that's hard to say because I really do enjoy Cosmic brushes or Cosmic Beauty as well, but I don't know. I think it's the way that they lay their palettes out. It feels more like adventurous, more inspiring, exciting, and it just makes me want to create with it. They are very, very similar color stories though. The difference being like this shade and the 2 like that dark blue. You take those out and you're getting very, very similar vibes. But again, I love both formulas. If you have one, I don't necessarily think you need the other. Although I will say I really love the shimmers in this palette so much. And if I had to pick between the 2, I would definitely go with this one. But these shimmers are extraordinary and they get me every time. A good shimmer will inspire a whole entire look for me. And that's one of the reasons I love Artitude, because they get me going, you know. And like I said, the next one is Artitude and Cosmic Beauty again. So we have the Lovers palette, and I love this one. It's in the name, you know, but this palette is so very beautiful. I love like the whole theme of this, I think is beautiful. It's like a really nice take on romance, and I love that this was like a Valentine's Day launch, but it wasn't like full on like pink and red. They did it in a different kind of way, and I really enjoyed that. But I really loved Artitudes as well. And the difference between these 2 palettes are the 2 blues. You take those out, these are very similar palettes, and Well, I love the Cosmic Brushes one, or Cosmic Beauty. I do it every time. I do prefer the one from Artitude Cosmetics because, again, the way that it's laid out, it just makes me feel so inspired and excited. I love like how it's all jumbled up and it's not laid out so perfectly in the pan. I just see many more like color combos when it's laid out this way, like these. This shimmer with these two colors in the crease would be so pretty. The gray with the green is so pretty as well. You could still do this on the lid, or you could do this. Like, there's so many options and I love it. It makes me so happy. My mirror on mine is broke. I do need to reorder it as soon as I'm able. But with that being said, I still do really love this one as well. Like I said, they are one of my favorite brands. And there is some really stunning shades in this palette too, but it's hard. Like, I don't think you could go wrong with either one, depending on which one you're drawn to, but my favorite out of the two, I definitely give it to Artitude. Okay, so this next one is really hard to choose between. So we have the Classic Autumn from DD Signature. This palette is beautiful. I did pick this one up myself. And I love this. It's like fall but muted. And they did it so beautifully. I really like these shimmers as well. Like this orangey gold is really beautiful. I really love shades like that in the fall time. But it really reminds me of Enchanted Autumn from Fantasy Cosmetica. And it's the mutedness of it, I think, that really takes me there. And honestly, it's really hard to look at these and decide which one I like more because I love both formulas. Fantasy Cosmetica is one of my favorite brands, and this is a collab between them and Makeup Just for Fun. And I love Amanda. She's a sweetheart. So I love it for that as well. And honestly, I just don't even know. I'm happy to have both of them. But I will say the thing I love about this one more is like how bright these shades are, and I love this mustard shade. I like this one in Fantasy Cosmetica's palette. It's like a dirty mustard, almost kind of olive at the same time. It's really pretty too, but if I had to choose and like narrow it down, I would probably still give it to the DD Signature palette, and that's a hard decision because you guys know I love Fantasy Cosmetica, although I do prefer the artwork on this one as well. I think it's so beautiful. But yeah, you gotta make a decision somewhere. I saw another palette earlier and I forgot to pull it out, but now I don't remember what it was that reminded me of that. Maybe it was the Abscission palette from Artitude. I can't remember. Let me know if you can think of one that kind of has like that fall muted type of vibe. Okay, so these three you've heard me talk about a couple of times already because they are really similar. So the newest one is the GLAMINATRIX Tones of Turd. I love this. They are supposed to be restocking this because everyone's like begged her to restock, and it's beautiful, so I can totally understand why. I love it as well. But this palette really reminds me of the Ace Beauté Ambiance palette, and while these aren't like dead on exact, they're very close. And I think maybe it's the vibes. I don't know. They're really close and both are beautiful. But this one is no longer sold. And if I had to choose, well, I love... Okay, so I love the shimmers in the Tones of Turd more than I love the shimmers in the Ace Beauté palette. But I love the matte color story in the Ace Beauté palette even more. You guys know I love this bottom row so much, but even this row as well, I think they're beautiful. But the Ace Beauté palette reminds me of this palette. This is the Tales of Terror from Wicked Widow. They're not exact, like you're missing that chartreuse shade in this palette, which is one of my favorite shades, but they are still extremely similar. You can get very similar vibes with both palettes, and I do prefer the one from Wicked Widow. I like the formula more, but man, I think it's these two shades together, like seeing them together, it gets me. I love that combo so much. One of my favorites, but I don't know if these ones are as similar as the other two. You see how like one will lead you into the other, which leads you into the other. It's kind of cool. But if I had to choose between all of them, I would probably go with the Wicked Widow. Just simply because it has that really exciting color story and a nice shimmer formula. I like the shimmer, the matte formula in the tones of Turd, but it is like really kick-uppy, so you have to like be very mindful to tap your brush or do your eyes first, because you do get like excessive amounts of fallout with the mattes. So I mentioned Vamp in part 1, but I compared it to a different palette. This time I'm comparing it to a new palette, and you can see she is used and very, very loved. I love this palette, but it really reminds me of the Cosmic Beauty Sinister palette, which I also love. But they're very similar, minus the blue shade in this palette. They are very, very close. Of course, you do get more shades in the Cosmic Beauty palette. But if I had to choose, I would choose the Bella Beauty Bar palette because I am so obsessed with their shimmers. Plus, I think this one's sold out now. But I love their shimmers with my whole entire heart. If it's not sold out, I'll link it down below though. I will also say there are some really beautiful shades in this palette, like this one. It's so pretty and I love it very much. I don't understand this ghost shade. I think it was meant to be like a joke, but it's still a minus shade in a palette at the same time. So maybe my sense of humor is gone when it comes to that. But it's beautiful, but this one just didn't excite me the way that Vamp did. I will say though, I have heard people say they deal with creasing with Bella Beauty Bar, some of Bella Beauty Bar shimmers. If you're someone who has like extreme hooded eyes, or you typically deal with creasing, just keep that in mind. Me, myself, I do not. And listen, I don't know if it's safe to do it, so do as I say, not as I do. But the One Size Until Dawn setting spray, sometimes when I notice something's like, I don't deal with creasing, but sometimes I get the transfer. I will be like, spray in my eye, let it dry, and then open it, and it doesn't happen. I'm not saying, I don't know if it's safe, like I said. I mean, it's meant for your face, but yeah, it works. That's all I'm saying. But I love this freaking palette with my whole entire heart. I love Bella Beauty Bar. They're one of my top favorite brands of all time. I will die of joy when I get on their PR list, but I love them so much. I'm surprised this one wasn't in my last video, but I went through my notebook where I keep notes and I didn't see it in there, which is shocking. But the Coastal palette from Simply Posh, it's your beautiful beachy themed palette, and I really think they did a very good job on this palette. But it is very similar to Spring Magic from Unearthly Cosmetics, which I also love very much. Now, out of the two, I do prefer the Unearthly palette because you do have 3 deeper mattes here, and they're of different shades, so you could use the neutral to deepen up almost anything. You have a green, a dark blue, and they layer so you can get them even darker than what they appear in the pan if you keep layering them. I also like the format, the way the Unearthly palette is laid out. I find it more like I don't know, easy to come up with color combinations, more inspiring, and just overall more fun to play with. But I think this one might be more beginner friendly for people. But I also do prefer the Unearthly formula more than the Simply Posh. But both, I think, are wonderful palettes. You can't go wrong either way. But if I did have to choose between one, I would totally go with Spring Magic. But both are really good. I can't complain. And I've enjoyed my Simply Posh palettes. But it's no secret that Unearthly is definitely a top brand for me. I love them with my whole heart. I did not realize how many Cosmic Beauty palettes were in here. But we have another one, and it is the 'Tis the Season palette. This palette is beautiful. It's like a all-in-one holiday palette, and I think it's stunning. But it's very similar to Fearless Holiday from DD Signature, which she has restocked. I know some people were waiting on a restock, and these color stories are not exactly the same, because you have that purple row and the Cosmic Beauty one, but they're pretty close. And honestly, it's hard for me. Overall, if I had to choose one and I had to get rid of one, I would go with the DD Signature palette. But I will say I love both formulas very much, and I prefer these top two rows in this palette. I just don't care for these two, which is what draws me into the DD Signature palette. But I just love them. Like the orange and neutrals and the greens. I think that's so pretty. That would be a pretty 12-pan palette as well. But I also really love this palette just for what it is, too. I just like that orange row more than I like the oranges up here, if that makes sense. Both are beautiful, though. And like I said, there's things I like about both palettes, so I'm happy to have them both, because whether I'm wanting something, you know, maybe with this palette, especially like this quad here on the eyes is delicious, then I'm happy to have it. And like I said, I love Cosmic Beauty. Even though they seem to not have been #1s in a few of these, don't get me wrong, they are still a favorite. This one is very hard, and I don't know how to choose between these two. I don't know if I even can, but they are very similar. And the first one is the Crow from Wicked Widow. I went nuts over this palette. First of all, because I love the Crow, and this color story was so much more fun than I even imagined it was going to be, and I had good thoughts about this one. The shimmers are so beautiful. This shade is so stunning. There's so many stunning shades. These mattes blew me away. Like, that deepest black in that palette will blend out all on its own. It's truly one of the best matte formulas I've ever worked with. But it really reminds me of the Dexter palette from Lethal Cosmetics. They are quite similar. And I also really loved this palette as well. That's why I really don't know. I don't think I can choose between them. I prefer the packaging on this palette, although I understand and kind of like the idea behind the packaging of this palette, because it really goes with the theme very well and it makes sense. But I hate storing it at the same time, so it's like a love-hate relationship. But these palettes are very similar. I don't think you could go wrong with either one of them. They're both fabulous, and I'm happy to have them both, honestly. I just don't know, because both shimmer formulas are really good. Both matte formulas are really good as well. I love them. So if you have them both, let me know. Which one would you pick? Because I can't decide. It's too hard. Okay, so I actually pulled the first two back out, because after talking about them, I realized these are very similar to those as well. So one might say this color story has been very overdone, but I pulled out the KRYPTEIN Cosmetics. I think it's called the Secret Garden, and beautiful palette. I despise the matte formula because it simply just fades away on me, but the shimmers are beautiful. And I had an easier time working with this one than I did the other one. This is the Secret Garden 2. The other one I could not work with at all. The mattes were terrible. This one wasn't as bad, but it's also really similar to the Simply Posh palette. Very similar. Maybe this one might be a little brighter. I do like the shimmers more in this one. And then here next to the Nomad palette as well. Again, very similar. I also brought out the Artitude Cosmetics Arcana palette. So this one actually isn't my favorite, and you guys know I love Artitude. I've said it several times in this video alone. These are very similar. You do have some deeper mattes here, deeper colorful mattes anyway, but it has that same like kind of cotton candy, muted pastel type of color story, but I felt like these mattes almost faded on me as well. When I like reviewed the palette, I didn't notice it because I like wore it only for a few hours and then washed it off. But then I did a look off camera and wore it out, and I noticed the mattes faded really quickly. So it's just, even when I did review it, I didn't think it was bad, but it just wasn't my favorite. It missed the mark. Maybe because too it's like kind of a tired color story, and it's just not what I'm used to from Artitude personally. But then we also have the Dancing Lights from Gloss Gods, which is very similar to all of the palettes as well. Now, if I have to choose a palette, I do prefer this one. This is the only palette I have from Gloss Gods. It was my first time trying them, and I was very impressed. Now, these ones are vastly different, but it is similar to the one from Artitude. I do feel like it's pretty similar to this one as well, and maybe even this one too. But I just thought the quality of this is impeccable. The shimmers were beautiful. The mattes were incredible. Like this shade right now is just calling my attention. The shimmers are so pretty. I literally just cannot even wait till they come out with another palette that catches my eye, because I desperately want to try something else from them, because if it's anything like that, I am so sold. And this was just so beautiful. Those shimmers, like, they're so reflective and sparkly, and they just speak for themselves. But I am like kind of over that color story, obviously, and I wouldn't be surprised if I dug through my collection and found more that were similar to that as well. I just feel like that color story has been done a lot. Okay, so in my last video, I think I mentioned these two palettes. We have the Cosmic Beauty Muse palette, which is one of my favorite palettes in my collection. She has been shown tons of love. I love this color story. It's very grungy and just beautiful. It's giving those fall vibes. One of my favorite palettes, like I said, but it's very similar to Fairy Frolic, which is what I think I did compare it to last time when I talked about it. But both of these palettes remind me of the Not Normal palette from Unearthly Cosmetics, which is one of my favorite palettes in my whole collection, as I'm sure most of you know. But I think these are very similar. And honestly, I love both of these. Like, this palette for its time was so iconic, and it still is. It's one of my favorites. So while I really love the Unearthly one, and it's a favorite as well, I don't know if I can choose between the two of them, but I did want to show the comparisons in case you have one. Maybe you don't need the other, but I love them all. These are very similar too. There's slight differences, because I was saying I would love to see her expand on Fairy Frolic, and then I was like, well, how could she really do that though without making it too similar to Not Normal? I don't really know, because they are kind of similar. I do prefer the formula like the newer formula in her palettes than I do the formula in the Fairy Frolic, but I love it. I still love it, and I love this one with my whole heart. It's truly so iconic. It's kind of like Serenity at the same time. That one is iconic as well, and a very unique color story to my collection. I really don't have anything like that one. And another unique palette I feel like that came out recently is the newest palette from DD Signature. That palette is beautiful. I cannot remember the name of it to save my life. Broken Jewels. I was wanting to say Broken Glass, but that palette has a very unique color story, I feel like. Okay, so this next one, they're similar. Maybe not dead on, but close. And the Agate Temptation from Singe Beauty. I love this palette. I recently just talked about it in a different video, which I don't know if you guys have seen yet, but it was a summer launch, but to me, this is a really gorgeous fall palette with a bright pop of color. And I love this so much. I've had so much fun with this palette. I feel like it didn't get nowhere near the hype that it deserved. And the shimmers in here are beautiful, but the whole presentation on this palette was extraordinary. Like the shimmer formula, the mattes, the pan embossings, the artwork, which I guess I could show you since I opened it. I just think it's so beautiful. It's like a slice of the stone, but it really reminds me of Bonfire from GLAMINATRIX. Let's do a little side-by-side comparison. And of course, Angie's palette is bigger, and you also have like more in the palette with like this mint shade here, and I feel like it adds a fun twist to the palette, which is something that I really love. And while I loved the Bonfire palette, love the shimmers as well, I had the same issue with these mattes as I did in the tones of Turd with the Kick Up. I do think it's a nice palette. The mattes blended really nice. You just have to be mindful of them. But out of the two, I 100% prefer this one from Singe Beauty. She is stunning, and I love it so much. I cannot wait to see what she comes out with next. If it's anything like this, I know I'm going to be so in love. I loved her first launch as well, but this one is definitely my favorite out of the two. Okay, so the last comparison I have, the first one is NBA Cosmetics, the Enchanted Elixir. And maybe this one is like easy to compare because it is a purple monochromatic palette. But I did compare it to literally the ultimate purple monochromatic palette of all time. However, mine is missing a shade because I put it back in the wrong palette, and now I don't know where it's at. I have to dig through. So I'll pop up a picture on the screen in case you are wondering which shade is missing in the palette. I was making sure I didn't put the wrong one there, but it's another matte shade, and it's beautiful. It's kind of like a cool tone purple. I think I know where it's at, but I need to go dig for it. But this is, like I said, the ultimate monochromatic purple palette. And this one wasn't bad either, but obviously if you're going to choose one, you might as well go for the best, which is this one from Bella Beauty Bar. This is also a collaboration between them and Deandra Nicole, who is one of the best creators over on Instagram. She does some of the best flat lays and swatches. I've followed her for a long time, and literally I look forward to her content when there's new launches. So highly recommend you check her out. But the shimmers in this palette are to die for, and this is the best purple monochromatic palette I have ever laid my eyes on. So obviously, I would definitely recommend this one over the other, but I was pleasantly surprised by these three palettes that I picked up from them. My favorite one was Cursed Moon, which was like, it was like blue and gray. It was really pretty. That one I thought was pretty awesome. And I do have videos on all of those if you guys are interested. Editing Heather popping in to say no lipsticks were harmed during the making of this video. I literally shook my head the last 15 minutes while editing this because it looks like I ate a whole entire lipstick. Look over me. I don't know how it happens. But I hope you guys enjoyed this video. If you did, please let me know down below because like I said, we could probably keep going with this series, especially as like more palettes come out throughout the year and stuff like that and more get added to my collection. I think it's fun though to kind of dig through your collection and see what you already have and maybe decide like, do you need the new thing that's coming out? Because maybe you already have it. Obviously, like I should have done that when buying these 5 palettes, but at the same time I do review eyeshadow palettes because it is my favorite thing to do in the whole entire world and I love being here, so that's gonna happen to me a lot. So if you ever have any questions about something being similar, let me know. I will check for you and get back to you in the comments as quickly as I can. But thank you guys so much for hanging out with me today. I hope you enjoyed this video. If you did, give it a thumbs up. It really does help me out. And if you haven't subscribed yet, I really hope you will. But until next time, bye.